having the time of our lives, shooting fire content, shooting, doing our work, doing our creative work, doing what we was called to do. Like,
yes, bless it.
And celebrating that and showing up regardless.
Blessings, blessings, blessings. Hello, friends. Welcome to or welcome back to So I Came Across This Post, the podcast. I'm your host, Charliie, the self-proclaimed ambassador of shamelessly embracing and living your truth. Thank you for being here. So, today's episode is a special one. It is our first episode, part of our segment, Who We Used to Be. So, Who We Used to Be are in-person conversations about the integration of past versions of ourselves. We invite guests on to talk about past expressions of who they were, past things they've been through, and how that has influenced who they show up as today. So today we're gonna have a great conversation with a special guest, and we're gonna invite them in a minute. But before we do, let's do some community messaging, some updates, some housekeeping, okay? So the first thing I do want to say is this is a sensitive topic. So just to give you a little disclosure and a forewarning, we will be talking about body image issues. We will be talking about things that might be sensitive to some people, like about body dysmorphia and things of that sort. So if that is something that you're not really at a place in your journey to talk about, or that you're open to listen to, then I would definitely recommend that you just give this a exit out. Okay? So secondly, I want to thank you all for being here, and to all our new subscribers, thank you so much for your love and support. It means so much to me, and I greatly, greatly appreciate it. So thirdly, I want to encourage you to, for those who are not subscribed, please subscribe to the podcast, whether you do it through an audio platform or you choose to subscribe through YouTube. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. Please know that every time you like, every time you listen, every time you subscribe, every time you leave a comment or feedback or rate the podcast, it allows more people to know that we exist. And if we can all agree on one thing, that more people need to know about us. I know that we're a new podcast, but you know what? The family is growing. So with your help, we can go further. So please, please, please continue to tune in, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, all the things. It is greatly appreciated. And yes. Lastly, I do want to let you all know that we have a newsletter. Okay, so in order to subscribe to the newsletter, there's two ways to do it, right? You can either go to Substack and just look for us as So I Came Across This Post, or you can go to our website, soicameacrossthispost.com, and you will see the newsletter subscription part in our homepage as well as our Connect page. So there's that. Well, now that that is out the way, thank you all for your patience as you listen to the announcements. And it is time for us to get into the episode. Hey, hey, hey. So welcome to our first episode of Who We Used to Be, one of the segments, or the segment of a segment of So I Came Across This Post podcast. So, without further ado, let's get into the main topic and invite in our guest. Hey, hey, hey!
Got it now.
Friends, 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 you see it, you see it, you see it. We got a guest, we got a guest, we got a guest.
So excited to be here.
Hello, 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 everyone. This is Shandy Love.
Hello, guys. Hello, guys. I'm a spiritual life coach. I encourage people to be their best self, support body positivity, and support just being your full self, authenticity, all that good stuff. Love astrology, love spirituality and wellness in general. And I'm so happy to be here. So excited.
Yes. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, this portion of the podcast is all about who we used to be and how we integrate past versions of ourselves into who we are today. I'm a believer that everything that you expressed as, everything that you were still in you is just dormant, right? It's not active right now. It's not your active expression, but I don't believe it ever truly leaves, right? So one of the things, what happened was I actually heard Shandy talking so it was on YouTube that I watched the video, right? But she was live or streaming on BIGO, right?
Yes, I remember.
She was streaming on BIGO, and she put the BIGO video on YouTube, and so I ended up watching a YouTube version of the video. And in this video, she was talking about her sensitivity and how like growing up sensitive and not a lot of people really understanding. And so I really resonated with that and just resonated with the idea of like just being sensitive and people misunderstanding that. And you too, as the person, misunderstanding it too, thinking that sensitivity is somehow a negative thing. And so I really wanted to talk with her on Who We Used to Be podcast. I mean, I keep calling it a podcast, but it is part of the podcast.
Right.
Who we used to be, and just talk about it and see how like it impacted us and just talk it through. However, we ended up talking about some other stuff. And so recently, you know, as we're talking about who we used to be and preparing for the podcast, right? Because I try to continue to have conversations with people and just get an idea of like what we want to talk about because there's so much to talk about in our lives. And one of the things I had actually recently came up was someone had made a comment about Shandy's body. And I am a big advocate on calling out when people are making comments about other people's bodies, including my own. Like whether I don't care if it's a compliment or not, like I will say something because I also know what it's like to have internalized a lot of people comments about my body. And you can say I'm being sensitive about it or whatever, but what I do know is that people may act like it's no big deal, but like they internalize it, right? And I just want to be mindful of like what we're saying to people. And I'm not saying just because I call you out, you have to change. Do what the fuck you want. But I'm gonna say something. And I'm also gonna ask you, so like, since that was a highlight that you caught on to, are you happy with your body? Right? Are you comfortable in your skin? Since you feel a need to point that out for the rest of us. And you know, I think a lot of it has to do with the energy you say it in, right? It's not just you making a comment. I also think it's about the energy in which you say it.
Yeah.
The delivery of it.
Definitely.
I interpret energy. So listen, I trust my reading on energy. So I don't play those games. You're not about to gaslight me, so I don't care. So whatever. So we ended up having a conversation about that, and we realized like we both have had some experiences with what I call to some degree a degree of body dysmorphia. That's what I started to coin it for myself to help myself understand what we were going through and how I wanted to process. This is not even something I dealt with in therapy. This is something I dealt with on my own. And I had noticed it for myself and I wanted to do better. And so one of the things is that Shandy actually facilitates is it a class or like an event?
I would definitely call it a class. So I would definitely call it like definitely a class because I'm also a lot of people don't understand what mirror work is and how like it's not just a fun thing. It's fun, yeah, but it goes deeper. It's like you're facing yourself in the mirror, and a lot of people have been avoiding themselves, you know. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know how much people avoid themselves, like because of these things, these deep rooted insecurities, unable to love what they see. They just go in the mirror and check to see if their clothes look good, and that's it. But to actually greet yourself in the mirror, like a lot of people don't even know what that looks like, what that feels like. Okay. So it's like a guidance, basically, experience to show them, like, this is what it is. Like, this is what it means to connect, really, really connect with yourself and your body, not just the external, but, like, that inner parts of you know?
So, all right, before we go there, though, so let's just back up a second. Let's tell them about.
Okay.
So, it's actually, basically the class, because I didn't know how to term it. I called it an event, it is an event.
It is an event.
So it's a class, and it's called Mirror Magic. And so I actually wanted you to tell us about Mirror Magic and like what got you into it, because I do feel like, and I think you already started doing that, but I do feel like, you know, like let's start there because again, right, we're talking about the integration of past versions of ourselves.
Yeah. And
I do believe that a big part of what Shandy has been through plays a part in why she actually conducts these classes, why she facilitates these classes. And so, like, let's talk about it.
Oh, definitely.
So let's talk about the Mirror Magic class first. Tell us about that.
How did Mirror Magic come about? Okay, for a very long time growing up, I just couldn't feel safe in my own body. And it got to a point where I was, like, nitpicking, but a lot of people were also nitpicking. I actually got it from them, got really sensitive about how I looked, certain clothes I wear, how I express myself, to the point where I felt like I wasn't really expressing myself authentically. I was always like moving in a way that I felt like in a ways that would be presentable or accepted for people outside of me. And that wasn't genuine. And at the end of the day, I still felt lost. I felt like I didn't really have this deep connection within me. And there was just this time where I was just like, it's time for me to get closer. It's time for me to dig deeper. And I remember one day I just sat in front of the mirror, and I looked into my eyes for the first time. And that was an experience itself. I realized I never looked into my eyes before. And I cried because I was like, people probably looked into my eyes and I never looked into my own eyes. Like, this is my body. This is the body that I'm housing in how many years, plus years. And I never had the experience of actually experiencing that personal experience with myself. Yeah, no. And I just kept doing it. I started moving. I started moving with my body and it felt good. And I started learning what my authentic expression is in this body that I'm in. What is it that it means to me? And becoming my own audience, not necessarily needing a validation from anybody, not necessarily needing external appreciation, but like celebrating myself genuinely. And I felt like, okay, I've gotten to the space where I'm confident enough and safe enough in my skin. Like, there'll be times when little things happen and, we have our days. But for the most part, it's like, nah, nobody can tell me nothing about myself. Same thing like you. Somebody comes to me talking about my body, I'm shutting it down because it makes no sense. Like, what is the reason? Like, why do you feel the need to,
I personally think it's projections, and that's why I call it out. And that's exactly why I call it out. And that's why I say I watch the energy of it too. It's not like I'm gonna say, if you're telling somebody that they're beautiful, they're beautiful. I get it. But like, if I feel like you're like trying to say it in a way to like bring down somebody's confidence or to call them out, to tell them that they're less than or they're not good enough for you in your eyes. Oh, no. Come here. Let me talk to you.
Yes.
Let me talk to you for a second. And that's just how it is. And I've always been an advocate about different things. And so, like, this is something that, right, an integration of who I used to be basically motivates that, right? Because, like, you're talking about, I remember years ago not being able to look at myself in the mirror. I remember, like, we live in New York City. And so, like, I would be walking down the street. And I remember telling my therapist a couple of years ago, like, when people look in my eyes, I look down. Why am I looking down?
Here.
I could not understand, like, for everyone that knows me, people would think like, oh, she's so confident, she so is. And I do believe for a big part of my, like, I'm confident in most areas, but for some reason, there was times where I started to notice, like, girl, that's false confidence. And now I understand why I used to be so defensive growing up. And now I understand why I used to get triggered so easily, because that confidence wasn't real. I had insecurities and I felt like people were trying to pick at them and call them out. And so like, my inner child or like my ego was just like, oh hell no, we gotta go to war for this. We gotta go to war for this, because we ain't gonna let them break us down, right? But that was like false, what I was calling false confidence, because it was more of a defense mechanism than it was actually me being comfortable with me.
Right.
So for those who are on audio, just to let y'all know, we had to change locations. We're outside recording today. Yes, we wanted to be in nature. And so we at the park recording, and it just so happened that, not just so happened, because we knew it was a chance of rain, and it started drizzling. So we just wanted to get out of the possibility so that we can record in peace. And now we in peace.
Get out of nature's way.
Yes. Literally.
Literally.
So, but we're back now. Okay. So as we were talking about, we went over Shandy's class, Mirror Magic, and basically how that got started. I was sharing with you all about how I'm very much an advocate of speaking up when people are taking jabs at people's bodies or making comments about the way somebody looks, because I personally have went through it where I used to internalize the way people saw my body. When I was growing up, I was skinny. Okay, my grandmother used to call me Oliver. I don't remember from Popeye. You know the wife from Popeye.
Yes.
She was so skinny. Yeah. So my grandmother used to call me that. And so growing up, I was so like self-conscious. And y'all, let me tell y'all, I used to put sweatpants. So this was in middle school. I used to put sweatpants under my jeans so I could look thicker, so I could look like I had more weight on me. A mess. And it's like, I think about it now and I'm like, what the fuck? And so that was something I had went through where I wanted to be thicker, I wanted to gain weight. And then as I got older, I did start putting on weight. And then I was in the military, so like there would be times where I would like gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight. And I remember looking at pictures as I got older. I was probably in my late 20s, and I would look at pictures and I'd be like, girl, you was trying to lose weight. You look the fuck good, okay? And then I'm like, you tried to gain weight. You look the fuck good.
It's always like that when you look back.
Yeah, but you know what what I realized, and this is what changed everything for me, is that I was like, I literally said to myself, it doesn't matter what weight you are. You always have an issue with you. Like you always have an issue with your body. It doesn't matter if you are where your goal was, you'll find something wrong with your body. And it was more so like my stomach area was really like my target area where I was just like, I want a crop top body all year round. Like, what is happening? And so, like, I would just always just nitpick at my body and at my stomach and things like that. And so, when I realized that it doesn't matter where I'm at on my weight scale, that I'm going to have an issue, I just stopped. I just made the conscious choice to stop. And then what I said was, my new goal was like, I'm just going to feel good in my body. For now on, long as I feel good in my body, that's it. I'm not trying nothing else but to feel good for me. Like, I don't care what nobody else think. I don't care what nobody else feel. Because people would see you and be like, oh, you gained weight, or oh, you've been eating. Like, people are comfortable, okay? They are real fucking comfortable coming for you, right? But, bitch, ain't nobody checking for you. Leave me alone. Leave me and my body alone.
You be having the audacity. That's what they be having.
The audacity. Like, some people that I remember, even like on Facebook, I remember someone made a comment about me gaining weight on Facebook when I was in the military. And I remember one of my military homegirls went off. She was like, how dare they? Like, she was so upset. And it was this guy I had knew from undergrad. And he made a comment. Mind you, he was on my okay? So I was real confused. And then the way he was looking, like, sir, you could never. You could never. So don't get out of here with your issues, your inner issues. So I started to realize that a lot of what people were saying, a lot of things that they were saying towards me had more to do with them than me. And so I stopped like listening. And I'm like, no. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me. And so like I started to fall in love with myself. And I was telling Shandy earlier this year, I started it was like a 90-day mirror magic challenge, and it was about doing affirmation. It was about a way to manifest by just feeling good within yourself. And so like mirror magic was the way to do it. And the first time I did the mirror magic, day one, I realized how comfortable I was. Because I remember when I used to look in the mirror, I used to cringe. I couldn't stare at myself for more than like 2 seconds, probably not even that. And so to see that all this time has passed and I have been doing this inner work and I've been doing this self-worth stuff and I've been doing this being shameless thing and this radical self-acceptance thing, that it all led me here. It all led me here. Me realizing that no matter where I am in my weight or how I look at my body, like I'm still me. That inner glow, that excitement, that joy, that embodiment of the sun that I consider myself, she's still here. She didn't leave. And so it's how I was treating myself that was really bringing me down, and how I was allowing other people to speak to me and me accepting that as my truth.
Like, so interesting how other people's perception of us, it could really trickle down into how we perceive ourselves, and it happens so like it's like sneakingly, like it's just so sneaky with it, because even when you try your hardest not to let it get to you, some way somehow it shows up subconsciously, or it shows up down the line that you have attached yourself to this type of perception based off of what somebody said, what somebody did, or whatever the case may be. And earlier today, I was actually listening in on a podcast, and it was I don't know if anybody knows Erin Lyons. She interviewed these two spiritual coaches.
Oh, I know who that is.
I love Erin. She's amazing. And the guy, he was channeling Source, and he was like, Source was basically saying, you are beautiful. And when you hear you're beautiful, you start to cry because you haven't really heard that from people before, or you haven't really, like, it's not often that you hear that. But you are beautiful regardless of the color that you are, the skin you're in, how you look. You are beautiful just because you are. And it's like, it takes me back to what you just said about regardless of anything, like you know that this is who you are. Like you're just great, magnificent, spiritual being and having a human experience. That itself is beautiful. You know, it's just something that I just want to plug in.
Right. But something that you just said is coming to me too, reminding me of, I remember when you were talking about you internalize it as your truth, right? I remember I've been through a lot in my life, right? And I think that all of it needed to happen for me because I'm called. I'm called. I knew since I was a teenager, Spirit literally said to me, you are not being punished. Everything you're going through is for us. Like, they told me that everything I was going through had a bigger purpose, that it wasn't just about me. Literally, they were like, it's not just about you. And so, though I may not know fully what that's going to entail, what that's going to look like, what that purpose is, I believed it. I knew because when I would go through things, it wouldn't hurt me. It wouldn't hurt me. Like, my mom would say stuff to me, people would say things, and it wouldn't affect me like it would, like other people thought it should have affected me. I'll be like, all right, like, you said that's not kind, but okay, like, you know, if anything, it just changed my relationship with you. It didn't really change anything else. And so I remember I used to call myself a bitch all the time. I was like, you're such a bitch. You are such, like, I
had moments like
yeah,
that.
I used to be like, you're such a bitch. Like, you're so rude. You're so, like, you have no tact. Like, you're such this. And I remember I ended up coming into contact with someone I went to high school with. I was walking down the street like a couple of years ago, and I came across, and I remember this guy, everything. And I see him, and he's covering his face. And like trying to look away, and I started laughing. I was like, you don't have to say hi. Like, you don't need to hide, babe. Like, just keep walking.
Like, it's okay.
And then he ended up stopping, and we're talking, and he's like, what happened to you? And I was like, what? He was like, you were such a bitch. But what happened to you? I was like, life happened to me, right? Like, life humbles you, life changes you, and life shows you that you don't know everything. Life tells you that you're hurting, and what you're doing is spewing out your pain. Life reminds you of your humanity and reminds you how to love other people.
You get humbled really quick.
You get humbled. Like, life happened. Life showed me that it loved me so much that it wanted to get me together, and that's why those hard lessons was gonna come. And so, but I remember one day I was saying, you're such a bitch, and something in my spirit was like, but you're not. But you're not. And then I had a moment where, and I'm getting goosebumps now, I had a moment where I stopped and I was like, I got so used to saying that to myself. I got so used to identifying like, you're such a bitch, that I kept going with it, even though I no longer embodied that energy. Because I wasn't. I was so kind by then. I had so much compassion. I was already considerate. But like, you know, I wasn't her no more. I wasn't that teenage girl or that teenage woman or that young adult anymore. I was no longer embodying that energy. And so a lot of times too, we're still holding on to identities that we no longer resonate with.
Oh yeah.
Because we're so used to telling ourselves, this is me. But that's not, it may have been you in the season, but that doesn't always have to be your story. And when I got that wake up call, it was just so beautiful because it helped me to like start questioning everything I was saying about myself. Like, what else is not true about me? What else am I saying about myself that's not true?
Self-reevaluation type thing.
I definitely believe in us doing self check-ins and inventory is what I call it. Yes, do some inventory every once in a while just to make sure that what you're saying and how you're identifying, because all this is ego, right? All this is ego. Who we say we are, all this shit is ego. It could come, it could go. It's not the only thing that's like infinite about us and true about us is that we are here as a manifestation of God, right? We have a soul, we have a spirit, and that's the only unchangeable thing. But everything else is like, it's a character we get to play, you know? At least that's my belief. And so, you know, we needed to be in this world.
Joy in just this growth, the experience of growth and change and realizing, like you just said, like, just because you was a one way before doesn't mean you had to stay that way. And then it kind of made me think about how people in the past may have been spewing hate, stuff like that, because they were hurting, and whether it was intentional or unintentional, that they were doing this, but it doesn't mean that they are gonna be that way forever. Like, people change. Things change. Change is constant.
Yeah, I remember this guy asked me, do I believe that people change? And I really didn't know that it was a Leo man. Okay, it was a Leo man. He was like, do you really think that people change? And I was like, I don't know. And then as time went on, I was like, all right, maybe we don't change, but we embody new energy. We express differently, right? Because I do believe that old versions of myself is still in me. She could be triggered. I have
said about the doormat activation.
Yeah, because I remember recently, with my family, I decided to part ways and take a break from them and pull my energy back because I realized that old versions of myself kept popping up. And I was like, I don't like the way it feels. I don't like it, and that's not who I am. And until I get it completely under control, I gotta go.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to keep going back there. That's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. I'm so much more. not like better than people, because I think that all of us are just bomb as fuck. It's just a matter of whether or not we want to accept it. I think everybody is lit, okay? I think everybody is motherfucking lit. And it's up to them to decide if they wanna express that litness. It is what it is.
Your choice.
Your life, your choice. Okay, Spirit clearly thought you was well enough to decide for yourself, so do you, boo.
Even the birds agree.
I was like, we was coming real close.
Even the birds agree.
But yeah, and so I know we got off tangent.
We did, but that's what happened.
Yeah, we got a little off topic with that. But yeah, I feel like a big part of all of this plays into like getting to a place of accepting your body, getting to a place of accepting yourself. And it started with me like just realizing more and more like these aren't my stories. I allow people. You know what? As thinking about this is what I was gonna say. Oh, thank you.
No problem.
This was. Let me not bump it. This is what I was gonna say even earlier. So my grandmother used to call me olive oil, right, or whatever that the name is. I meant to look it up last night.
I used to watch Popeyes like crazy.
Yeah, it's the wife. It's the wife. Yes. But what's crazy is that so I didn't get around my family until my bio family until I was like 10, 11, right? So you know what I noticed? Before that, I didn't have no body issues.
Wow.
Growing up in Queens, like nobody ever said anything. Cause all my friends were slim and skinny. All of us, we were just slim and skinny. So like no one ever made a comment. And as I was talking, I realized that too. I was like, wait, these body issues didn't come until I turned like 10 or 11. I moved with my biological family. And that's the only people that ever, and mind you, nobody was slim except my aunt. I had an aunt that was real slim. And I always was like, oh, I want to be like her when I get older. Because she was just beautiful, slim. Like, she reminded me of me. So, yeah, I'm thinking about it now.
Talk about being placed in a different environment, and then that's when different things come up.
Yeah. It started in my home, right? And eventually got to school, too. I was telling Shandy, like, in school, too, like, guys used to be like, hold on. Guys used to be like, no ass at all. No ass at all. Like as I walked by, mind you, they always were trying to date me, so I was really and this is
no
what
ass
I mean.
at all, but you're on my ass.
Yeah, and this is what I mean by like a lot of things that people say are more about them than you, right? They are trying to like knock you down. I feel like people try to humble me when they just couldn't let God do the humbling. They needed to humble me.
If you really love yourself and you fuck with you, you don't have the time, the energy to ever look at somebody and spew hate. I just don't. Like, if you really love your life, there's nothing coming out of you. You even notice stuff like that because you're so in love. You're operating on that energy of love. So it's no brainer that people who see sides of that, they point out these things because they're pointing these things about themselves. They're constantly judging themselves. So send them love.
Yeah, but this is what I think I said this to you. So one of the things I started to recognize about myself is that I have this test I do on myself. So if I notice that I'm having thoughts about somebody else body or their actions or anything. So say for instance you're outside and you're yelling and screaming and I'm like, ooh, you know what I mean? Or I'm having thoughts that you're not acting properly. I ask myself, where are you not free? Because now you're trying to invade on their freedom, right? Now you're trying to tell them how they have to behave. So where are you not free? Because they're just living their lives. They're not doing nothing to you. They're not affecting you at all. So why is that your business? Like, what is the real issue here, right? Because I always believe that it has more to do with you than yourself. And every time I test that with myself, it's always something. People being loud. I'm like, oh, well, I was told I couldn't be that loud. I was told that if I act that way, then I'm just a loud black girl. And you allow that. You know what I mean? Like, you let people tell you who you are. And so, like, you kind of bring yourself down. I don't know if anybody, whoever knows Sukihana, right? I remember Sukihana. I don't know what she did recently, but she did something recently and everybody had a comment about it. And I just thought it was the funniest thing because I'm like, but it's not y'all.
I'm trying to remember what she did too.
I think she was in Paris or something.
Oh, when she was doing, I think one of the comments that stood out to me was when everybody was basically saying that she tries too hard to be ghetto, and I'm just like, how do you perceive that? Like how do you say how do you I don't. And what is trying too hard to be ghetto looks like?
And it's also like, how do y'all know? And I think too, like we don't always give grace as a society to like let people explore who they are, right? So
thank you.
If she doesn't act like that, how does she know that's not her or that is her? If she don't test it out, like how are we supposed to experiment with things when there's no safe space to do it? Everybody want to tell you how to be, and so I think it's really beautiful that people are willing to put themselves out there. I said this about So I Came Across This Post podcast when I was talking to someone else about it, where I was just like, people are gonna say what they want to say. People are gonna critique it. People are gonna feel how they want to feel. That's up to them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I can't control that. But I think that everybody, every time we share something on the internet, every time we share something with each other, we're being vulnerable because you have no idea how somebody's gonna respond to it, and you'll find out in that moment whether or not you have a wound there.
Yeah.
Because it'll depend on how you react, you respond to it. But it's just so many beautiful things that can happen when we are just interacting with one another, when we just witness and observe, be an observer as opposed to like not having to identify with our ego thoughts, right? Like I can literally see somebody walking past. If I have a thought about them, I don't act like it's my thought. I'm just like, what the? A lot of times I'm like, girl, you're so silly. Like, why are you even thinking about that? And it's like you said earlier, like, why is that the thought that comes to you? So what I believe is that what you say, what you notice says more about you, right? I am someone who always sees the positive in everything, right? That's just me because that's just what's happening inside of me.
Positive comes up first.
Yeah, that's the first thing that comes up. I'm always thinking about, being understanding, being kind, thinking that people are coming with the best intentions. But that's just me. And there's somebody else who might see that and they can see something wrong with everything. I think that is like what you said. It's like it's just saying more about them and what's going on internally than anything. What people notice has more to do with their own thing. And I think that when we take responsibility for that, this world gonna be a kinder place.
Oh, I just cannot wait for that because a lot of people are just ask everybody who's criticizing. They must have a perfect life. They must have the perfect body, perfect minds. It must be nice to have the perfect everything.
Yeah.
If you gonna sit up, if you have time to sit up here and critique every little small thing. I see it all over social media because I use social media as my version of looking over the world like a magnifying glass to see what majority of the people are thinking. And when I say we have some experts.
Yeah, I love social because of that. I feel like it's helped me be more accepting. It has helped me to practice not judging, to be an observer,
yes,
and not a judger, and even find ways to like communicate that to the world, right? Yeah. How do I come off in not a judgmental energy, but an energy of I observe this, especially as someone who considers himself an energy channeler, right? Like I'm always interpreting energy, not so much people actions, but I'm also like, yeah, because I can feel the energy that's behind those actions. Because some people are scared, and they come from a lot of times people are messaging really really fast. I've done it before too because they're feeling defensive. And they just go off and they write all this stuff in the comments, but you can read the energy is defensive because it's like, okay, they got scared, they felt triggered by what you're saying, or they felt attacked and they're defending themselves. It is what it is.
It is what it is. There's many reasons why these things come up, but like you said, I definitely take what other people do, especially on social media or just in person. Anyways, I take it as an opportunity to reflect on myself and see what ways I could show up better. How do I deliver things? Because it's okay to ask questions, but it really is the delivery for real. Like and just like reflecting on yourself first. Like I love the fact that when you pointed out the fact that when things come up in yourself that may come off judgmental, you reflect with yourself first before you even say anything. I think people need to do that more often.
Yeah.
I think people need to before they speak, think.
First of all, it's funny as shit. Yo, I'm telling y'all, if y'all just become an observer of your thoughts, first of all, our egos is funny as shit.
I be cracking the fuck up. My ego is so funny. I be like, girl, please.
I'm like, you are so silly. The things you care about, the things you notice is so fucking silly. It's not even. I can't. But it's fun. I gotta stay entertained in this world, and so it is what it is. But yeah. This is so beautiful. I'm like, we kind of went on tangents, but you know what?
I love the fact that we just flowed into it, like as I expected it to be. Honestly, did we cover everything? Did we talk about
what else?
Talk about body dysmorphia a bit. Ooh, sensitivity. We need to go into.
Oh, do you want to talk about it? Okay.
I would love to talk about it. I don't mind.
Yeah, the main thing I wanted to talk about was the body dysmorphia thing because I did feel like I don't know how often it's talked about, but I also wanted to share like how it affects you as you get older. Once you realize what's happening, once you realize a lot of that is internalized, you're just like, wait, y'all can take this back. Y'all can take these thoughts back. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
I remember that experience of just saying, oh, I'm done. Like, I threw this. This is not mine. It's not my responsibility. No, I did not give this to myself. This is not my thoughts. I'm throwing it out, and I made it a whole I want to say experiment, a whole project, a self reflection project where I was just like took everything that was not mine and I literally visualized the garbage and I threw it in there because like it takes sometimes it may take you doing that because you don't even realize how much of the thoughts you thinking is not yours.
Yeah, and I would say that same thing about a lot of things, values, beliefs. I'm telling you, this journey I've been on has really been bringing awareness to things that I identify with and asking myself, like, is this really you? Like, yeah, you probably needed this belief when you were growing up to keep you safe and protected in the environments you are in, but now you're a grown person, like living outside of everybody else. Like, is this you? Do you need this still in order to feel safe in the world? Like, do you need this? And can we adopt something else? Can we adopt something else? So
create new pathways.
Pathways. And I love that during this conversation, I realized, like, wait, this whole body thing didn't happen since I moved with my mom.
I love those realizations.
And it started in the home, y'all. It started in the home. It's
so crazy when it starts in the home, because it started in the home for me. It did, and it was horrible. And then for you to go outside the home, and then
and people reaffirm it.
Like, makes it worse. Like, damn.
Yeah, I remember someone was like, someone said to me, like, I don't have a neck. And so they said to me I didn't have a neck. Girl, I stopped wearing any, like, big earrings. Because I was just like, there's not enough distance. Like, and I did this for years. And I'm like, instead of just going to find what works for me, I got so caught up in what someone else said. So, like, when I tell you, I was just letting this world just create whatever they wanted out of me.
And it's so dangerous because you came here to fulfill your specific, unique path. And then I get it. Challenges, woo! And if we didn't have none, life would be so boring, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
But it's so crazy how we come out here into this world and we allow people to just be like, we're on our path, and people just be like, oh no, you gotta go there. Oh no, you gotta go there. And then you get pulled so many directions, and it's just like, no. After a while, you rewild that back. Like, yeah, I need to go take my route.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like this year has been so beautiful. Because I feel like I'm on another level of just self acceptance, and it's like it's so bold. Like, no one can tell me nothing about me, and it's not about like me not being able to critique. Like, I'll listen, but if it doesn't feel true to me, it's not happening. Like, I'm not taking on something that my spirit, my soul is like, no, like that ain't. Me and my soul self, we be fucking cackling. We be like, they don't even know themselves. Not themselves. That's who we are, and they don't know themselves. They don't even remember themselves.
I take what you put about me into consideration, and you don't even. First of all, you don't even know yourself, but clearly you don't even like yourself. Yeah. Why should I care about what you think about me?
And I do believe that people can be messengers even though they aren't aware of themselves because right, we all have a soul and we all have intuition and we all are able to channel, right? So sometimes people can have messages for you, but that's why I'm saying, like, you got to check in with yourself though. Your soul should be the one to be like, that's correct for us or that's not correct for us, and that's why like I take it with a grain of salt. But a lot of times it really just be like, a lot of people just don't even know themselves enough, but yet they go out their way to kind of control you and tell you who you are, and that's something I don't play with. That's why I am the ambassador of shamelessly embracing and living your truth, because I don't.
I love it. I feel like we're kind of like basically our projection is really in like the same direction, like it's self-expression, authentic self-expression,
for sure,
owning and showing you're trusting yourself as you are. Like, I love it.
Let me tell y'all something. When me and Shandy have a mutual friend, and I used to always see her on each other pages. Mm-hmm. But like, even regardless of what, like, because we had a similar friend circle, even regardless of what, I used to always be like, there was always something about you, and I said that to you too, like. Yeah. It's just something about your energy because it's so bold, it's so out there. It bothers so many. Like, I used to see the way her energy bothered. Like, she wasn't doing nothing.
I'm in my own world.
Literally, she was in her own world, and it was bothering. And it entertained me. I was getting so entertained by it, like, because I thought it was so funny. Because I realized that a lot of times people have issues with people project on people their own shit, and I'm like, a lot of times you see yourself in that person, and you just not bold enough to do it. And so now you're mad. Now you're mad. Like, so it's just so interesting, and that's what it was. Like, I always used to see like something in her, like either I admired it or I just saw myself, right? But it was definitely something I saw in her that I just admired. I thought it was the funniest thing. Because first of all, you got people activated, okay? Why are you activated? This girl just existed. And like she's an Aries Sun, so I just expect her to be out there, anyway. And so it was just so beautiful. And the more we talked, I was like, oh yeah, I've definitely been versions of her, or I am versions of her. So I get it. I get why I'm so attracted to the energy.
They learned about our designs, projector.
Yeah.
Similar threes. Oh.
Yes. So we live a very similar life. So yeah, and then we're right angle and So it was just amazing. Our purpose here is just very similar.
Very similar, very.
So it just made sense. It just made sense for us to team up and be like, hey,
don't we look good together?
Let's do it. What's up?
I love it.
What's up?
I love it.
Okay. All right, so let's talk a little quick about the sensitivity.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's talk about sensitivity. So, you know what? I'm gonna enter because I do have it actually. Whatever. I'll enter in the portion of Shandy talking about the sensitivity because I did save it because originally that's what we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
So I'll enter that portion in right here.
I have a lot of water placements too. And that's why growing up, I've been very sensitive. Like, oh my God. I grew up in a Jamaican household, Jamaican as fuck. So they could not bother with the crying. And I was always crying, guys. I'm a crier to this day, but I was really bad. And then I guess it was bad because I didn't have the language for what I was feeling. It's like animals. They don't have the words, so they're going to make some sound. My language was crying. I just knew I felt uncomfortable and I didn't like it. But now I'm learning that I've always been sensitive as fuck. And not sensitive as a bad way, it was easy for me to take on people problems or people they make fun of me and I'll cry to everything. That happened too, but I was a feeler. I was always a feeler. I feel so deeply to the point where I can't. I think there was a time I was going through a spiritual awakening and I was asking God, I said, God, please, I don't want to feel no more. It was bad. I was praying not to feel. I did not want to feel shit. I'm very sensitive, truly understand what you mean. Thank you, Prophet. Thank you for reminding me that I'm not alone because this shit is no joke. Your Saturn is in your...
We're back. Is everybody mic on? Yeah.
Everybody's mic on.
Everybody, mic check.
Mic check 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah.
Just making sure I want to click that.
My hair and this mic, but we here.
We are here.
Yeah. So
welcome back to
So I came across this post.
Okay.
Okay. So the other part, originally when I even invited Shandy to the podcast to talk about who we used to be, it was because of what I saw on her video about sensitivity. I really, really resonated with this idea of being sensitive, crying a lot growing up, and people just what the fuck? What is going on?
Listen, they had growing up for me in a Caribbean, if you know, Caribbean household, the first thing they're gonna tell you, they're not gonna ask you what happened to you. They're gonna say, go read a book, or why you was crying, or let me give you something to cry for. It was never a safe space for me to just express my emotions. So growing up, I always felt being sensitive was bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bad thing. There was something wrong with me because I felt so deep, but not noticing that it was a gift. Nobody told me this until I got older and I started realizing, wait, I feel things. And maybe growing up, I didn't have the words for it. I didn't have the language for what I was feeling. I couldn't understand. I couldn't pinpoint. And I just kept crying because I just didn't understand what I was feeling. I was feeling all these energies and it was very confusing. And now, growing up, I do remember feeling bad for having feelings, feeling bad for being too sensitive, feeling like that was weak. And now I celebrate it. Now I'm like, oh, yeah, got this thing. Yes, I'm a feeler because it's something that makes me feel like I could trust myself because my feelings, before anything's gonna tell me, my feelings gonna tell me.
Because I think what is important about emotions, right? Emotions are sensations in a body. Mm-hmm. Emotions are energy in motion. They are messengers. So that is important. That is a big thing. And so I think it's so interesting how I know for me too, growing up, my dad makes me laugh. Well, he passed like a year and a half ago, but when he was alive, he used to make me laugh because he used to be like, because I used to tell him how he used to discipline me. I'm like, yo, you used to beat me. You used to beat me with your belt. And he's like, no one has to beat you. No one had to beat you. People can look at you and you would cry. Used to beat my ass. People would look at you and you would just cry. And I'm like, oh, really? No. Because I used to go to school fighting. My father didn't play that. I used to fight almost every day. I would go to school, somebody would snitch, I'll come home, my dad was waiting. Like, what? I'm surprised he didn't get tired. Because, like, my parents didn't do punishment, which I love, because, right up front, you get the option. And I will always choose to be in. Because I'm like, yo, this pain only lasts a little while, and then, like, punishment is way too long for me. Like, I'm not doing that.
Sorry, I never heard that before.
Choosing? Yeah, you got to choose. Punishment is way too long for me. Give me my beating and let me go about my business. Because you could get a whooping that day and still go outside. Like, that was how it was.
I think I would choose it, too. Am I even going
listen.
Over the punishment?
Listen. Well, I tell y'all. This is how I know there's a God. This is how I know there's a spirit. Because ain't no way I knew the shit I knew. Like, I was on it. Like, all right, I'm going to get beaten, but I'm going outside.
Okay.
And so, like, so his whole theory was, like, girl, people would look at you and cry. And it's true. When people would, like, if you raise your voice at me, I would cry. Like, I would either shut down or I would cry. And I didn't really understand it either. And as I get older, right, and I do a lot of studying and stuff like that, I also realized that I was holding on to a lot of emotions within the house. I used to have a lot of stomach problems growing up. I was always sick. And when I say sick, I was like 7 or 8 eating baby food. I couldn't eat full blown food. I used to have to eat baby food. I was always sick. I was always home from school. Some way somehow I never got held back. Like I was always.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I was having a lot of stomach issues.
So in therapy, there's an actual. I can't think of it right now, but in family therapy, they would talk about how there's always usually one person in the household who is like the main patient. And they are the ones who's holding all the energy, goosebumps, okay? They are the ones who's holding all the energy within the house. And that was like, that was me. I was always sick because, and I believe that it was because I was holding the energy of everybody in the house. And so I used to cry a lot. And it was very easy for me to cry. And you gotta think about it. Tears is not something that you have to force, right? Like it usually just naturally come out. So it's like, yeah, some of us force tears in order to get sympathy, but people usually know it. The tears don't come. Just the crackling voice comes, okay? But I used to cry because like, that was the only way I knew how to express what was happening for me.
Right.
And, you know, emotions are internal sensations. How we express them is going to look different for everybody. You know, you might express anger as yelling and screaming. I might express anger, or you might express anger as crying, right? Mm-hmm. Because, you know, there's so many ways to actually express the sensation we're feeling. It doesn't have to be one way. And so, you know, I think about it now, and I used to think everybody used to call me sensitive, and I thought it was a negative thing. It's the same thing like people say you got a big ego, right? They talk about it as if it's this negative thing, but in and of itself, it's not a negative thing, right? It just depends. And what made me learn about my sensitivity, I got a massage. It was a couple of things that happened. So I got a massage, and during the massage, the masseuse asked me, she was like, "Can you feel my energy?" And like at the time, I wasn't really
just randomly like that.
Yeah. Like she was doing a massage. She was like, "Can you feel my energy?" And like at the time, I was just like, I was so caught off guard. And so like usually when people call out my gifts, even like I've gotten readings where people ask me to read, like, "Hey, pick up the energy." I can't do it on the spot like that. It has to be, because then now my brain is involved. It has to be something that naturally happens. Yeah, once my brain get involved, I don't even try. I be like, it ain't happening. So she was doing a massage and she asked me, and I was like, da da. So afterwards, she ended up first of all, let me tell you something. Every time I get a massage, they want to talk to me. I barely get a massage where everybody just be quiet and just give me the massage. Everybody want to talk to me.
Just came to get some vibes and massages.
Yeah, you know. So and whatever. And I'm a talker, so it's not hard to get me engaged in a conversation that's exciting. Okay. Right. So anywho.
How's the Gemini rising?
Yeah. Okay. So for real. So she was giving me my massage. So she ended up telling me about HSP, highly sensitive people. So that's how I got into it. So she first told me about it, and so like I started doing research, and I was like, oh shit, right? I'm already in therapy and stuff like that. I love therapy, by the way. I had my caveats about it, but I thought it was a good time. Okay.
Right.
And so then afterwards, I had a friend. I was working at this job, and I had a friend that every time I would just notice everything, and then my homegirl was just like, "Girl, like you are so observant. Like everything, yeah, like you just picking up on everything. Remember, right? The way energy works is that you can pick up energy from all around you. Remember, our subconscious is picking up information all day. Like,
especially with this auric field, like the way is so big and vast.
Yeah.
No
So
way.
right.
No way.
So you're picking up energy all the time, and my homegirl was just like, "Yo, you are so observant. Like, you're so sensitive. Like, everything is getting your attention." So then she said it, and then one day my therapist was like, "Hey, I want to say something, and I'm not trying to offend you." And I was just like, "We have been together already like 2 years. Like, girl, we at this point we family. Say what you gotta say. I don't take offense to that. And you say, girl, do your thing." And she was like, "You're very sensitive." And then she went on to like talk about it, and I was like, "Oh, I agree." Oh, I agree, because by this time I had already came to peace with what was going on with me. And then after that, I could barely ride the train. As soon as I got on the train, I started feeling like I was gonna pass out. So like so what I think was happening is that I was getting leveled up. My gift was like.
Did I tell you about that time I passed out on the train before?
Oh yes. So
Makes sense.
So I'm saying all this to say, like, there's levels to our awareness of energy, right? Like, and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm all the way up there. I don't know, but the whole thing is like, I feel like spirit like slowly guided me into it to the point, because like even now, like I have no issues getting on the train no more. I've been just praising God and thanking spirit today, because I'm like, yo, we come such a long way. Because when I moved back to New York, it was like 3 years where I was just so uncomfortable. I didn't want to go outside like that. I didn't want to get on the train. I didn't want to get on the bus because
I used to have to like imagine a bubble, myself in a bubble to protect myself.
That's why I walk around with peppermints and water all day. Like I don't go nowhere, even if I'm going to the corner store. I don't go nowhere without peppermints and water and a selenite wand, because every time it's just like I get around people and all of a sudden I feel light, but it has nothing to like. It's just the energy that's around me. And the minute I walk out the store, I'm back. So it's just like learning all these things, but that requires you to be aware of your body, aware of the subtle changes. And it was so interesting. But yeah, I definitely believe that I was like so sick like that, because once I got back with my biological mom, I was only sick for like maybe a year or two, and then I haven't been sick since. I have not been sick since. Yep. And the next time I got sick again, when I had bad stomach problems, was because of stress. And the doctors could not figure out what was wrong with me, and I was like in bad pain. And y'all already know who figured it out.
I had experiences growing up. I've always got sick, some stomach issues.
And it's in the stomach. So stomach is where we hold a lot of our, a lot of our trauma and stuff like that. So, they say that about women, period. Like, yeah, that's what they say. Y'all should look it up. Like, listen. Because I be saying these things, and then when I find out, like, other people are saying it too, whether it's science or pseudoscience, I'm like, look I'm not tripping, y'all. Other people are having the same experience. It feels so good to be validated. Right, and like you get validated because you're like, I'm not tripping. Even when I told my homeboy about the whole, like, I went to the doctor because I always felt like I was about to pass out. And he just started laughing, but he's very spiritual too. So he was just crying, and he was like, yo, you really went to the doctor? I was like, what was I supposed to do? You imagine going outside, and every time you outside, you feel like you're about to pass out. Yeah. How scary is that? And you're by yourself. Terrifying. That's scary as shit.
Like, when I fell out on that train, I never fainted before my life. It was my first, hopefully last time, because I was just like, I just remember the feeling coming up, and I was like, what is this? And before I knew it, blacked out. Blacked completely out. And I think that was one of the first signs when I said, oh, I got to stop going to this damn job.
That's why I'm very mindful of the energy I'm around, because people was like, protect your energy and all this stuff, but sometimes like shit happens, not all of us is living on guard all the time like that. I know I'm not, right? Like I'm a free spirit, so I'm just out here, and I know I can be a free spirit and be grounded, right? Like I know both these things can exist, but there was times where I just wasn't there yet. I didn't have awareness of it to know what was even going on, and then as life went on, and I feel like I was getting upgraded my energy, and that's like what was happening, because now I'm like good. And I was just literally today, I was just like, yo, we've come so far. I was telling my spirit, like, we've come so far, because we're not even anxious about going on the train to meet you. Because I don't really have to take the train and stuff, because I work from home. Right. I can do everything in my neighborhood.
So when you do have to take the train, you don't feel that pressure.
But even that once in a blue, when I would take the train, I would like want somebody with me. So I would try to convince somebody else to go with me where I had to go. Gotcha. Because at least like it could distract me. I need a distraction. So like I'm not just, but so my energy isn't just focused on one thing. So, but now I'm a big girl.
I love how you pointed out that it's like levels, like like your energetic levels or your gifts, it just takes like a time period to like develop. Like, okay, like we all have our own pace and our own reasons why. Not all of us are meant to just get all of our gifts and all. Like, there's so many things that we probably could do, but we just have to take time to tap into it.
But I believe that. I believe that about everybody. I believe everybody has a gift, right? And I believe that we're all intuitive and all this stuff. And I believe that there's levels to it. And I think that people have awareness to whatever extent they have awareness. Ever since I was young, I knew that I was able to interpret energy. And the reason why I knew is because I used to pray. I literally used to pray to spirit and be like, please don't allow me to take advantage of what I know. Because I usually knew people's sensitivity. So I would never forget this older woman. I don't think she was that much older than me, but we worked together, right? At the end of the day, we were peers. And she got mad at me about something. I don't know what. She didn't know what. Because she got mad the day before. But she came the next day and tried to tell me about myself. And I was like, but what did I say? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, she was like, I don't remember, but don't do it again. And I was like, but what did I say? Like, how am I supposed to correct myself? How am I supposed to not do it again? I don't know what the hell not to do again. Yeah, so she said that, and then what did I say? Because she was basically like, she would go off on me. I think she said she would do something to me, and I was going to say, well, we would have just had it out. Like, you're not saying nothing. Like, you ain't saying nothing. We would have just had it out. And I love it. I love it. She was tripping. I was like, yeah, like, not you threatening me at work. You crazy. Like, and you don't even know why you mad. That was the thing. But after she told me about herself, she must have needed to get it out, because afterwards she was cool with me after. She wanted to help me with everything. So she just needed to get it out, which is fine, right? I'm sure whatever I said must have triggered at work, girl. Whatever I said must have triggered her, and I respect it. My whole thing is just like, what she said, she acted as if she can comfort me. But the thing with people is like, they don't realize what I know about them. Like, you may think that you're hiding behind something, but energy don't lie, babe, and you're insecure. And if I call out your insecurities, that's why I be telling people, like, I'm being kind. Because if I call out your insecurities, y'all not gonna like it. And I'm insecure too. I have insecurities too, but the thing about me is that I don't care. You know you're insecure. Right. And you sit in right. Like, that's what I'm that's the thing. That's why y'all can't get to me. It's because I know myself. And I don't even know if I have insecurities now, because I probably would just laugh. Honestly. Like, be like, girl, God, you can't be perfect at everything. You're so good at so many things. Like, girl, that's nothing. Right, you're gonna be not good at something, girl. Because if he gave you 2 months, then you will be out here acting crazy. You'll get on all around nerves. I love the way people passing by. They just love the fact that we're recording it. I'm like, this is like the new age, y'all. This is the age of Aquarius, okay? We outside recording this shit. But no. So yeah, I definitely like learned so much just about like the journey of, and that's why I don't play with people's gifts either, right? I never tell somebody that spirit didn't tell them what they told them, right? It ain't. I check in with my soul. First of all, my spirit name is Kat, by the way. CATT. Okay, her name is Kat. So when I check in with Kat, and Kat is like, we neutral. That means that we're go. But when she gives me signs, and I know the signs. So when I feel it, I'm like, that ain't ours. I can feel it, and my emotions will tell me, like, is that for us or is it not? Is that a message for us? Is that a message for now? Because sometimes people can say something, and it's just not in this season. They're prophesizing something that's gonna come. Okay. Yeah. And I'm okay with that too. So like, what I've learned to say, and I learned this through therapy, is to be like, that doesn't resonate right now. Doesn't mean it never will. That's not my truth right now. Okay. Like, that's beautiful. I'm gonna take that. Yeah, because I remember specifically we were going over attachment styles. Okay. And she was trying to tell me something about the attachment style, but when she told me, I was like, that don't resonate. Why a week later? Oh snap! A week later, I had a whole experience, and I came back. I was like, let me tell you about the attachment style. I'm connected to it. And she was just looking at me. I was like, you gotta let me do it. I was like, I loved her so much because she never forced anything on me. I love that. She would just like listen to me, smile, and be like, okay. That right there is a good teacher, because like, you don't force things on anybody. Yeah. And then I could come back. You know, she gave me time to let it marinate for me, right? She didn't take like an ego to away. Yeah. Because maybe that's not awakened for me, right? And maybe what she said is either adding watering it, planting the seed, helping me to awaken, but just because you can see it already doesn't mean it's so for me. So give me time to like get through that, and that's why I don't take it personal when I say stuff to people and they're not there yet. Okay. Because I have had people come back years later like, yo, you was on it, and I was like, listen, I have no beef with you. I was just saying what it is. I love that. So, and I just think the journey is different for everybody. That's why I think that's why a big part of me is like, I am always gonna support and encourage and advocate for people living their truth, because just because I never seen it or I never experienced it doesn't mean it ain't true for you. Yeah. Yes.
Many things can be true at once.
Yeah, and I think even about the sensitivity, right? Like growing up in our communities, it was a negative thing, and I can understand that too because people see you cry and they take it as a weakness.
Yeah.
Even when I used to get in fights, like by the way, now I do not like fighting, and I've accepted that I'm not a fighter. I will fight if I have to.
Julie fighting.
I think I will fight if I have to, but like I realized like that is not me. I had to do that when I was younger because I feel like I was getting a little bullied and stuff. I was in foster care and everybody knew.
Advocating for yourself.
Yeah, everybody knew I was in foster care, so people used to pick on me and be like, "You don't have a mother," da da da. And so like, you know, everyone's and I had like extra. I was born with extra fingers on my hand, so. I don't know, but like there's still marks there, but it used to look different. And so
both
fingers? Yes, I got both. So
you are just such a
it was so crazy. So kids used to pick on me. So I used to be like, yo, let's do it. Leave me alone. Stop picking on me. And then, you know, you get bullied and then you become the bullier. That's why I'm like, yo, that's why I think I have so much compassion for this world because I know that it's not
both worlds.
Yes, it's not no fucking joke. This world will swallow you.
Fucking mean ass world. That's why you have to light it up. You know,
this world will swallow you and pull you into that dark fucking shit.
Yeah, if you let it, man. It's no joke. I've seen it.
And then when you have the household that's like support an environment that supports it, right? Like people, my mom's side of the family, everybody's violent. Like everybody ready to scrap. So that's another reason why I'm taking a break because I'm just like I don't want old versions of me to come up because I don't want to be that person no more. And I get caught up in it sometimes. That's why I'm like, let me go back to my training ground. Let me go hang out with spirit. Let me go hang out with the spiritual community that I align with because even that is like has its own world in itself. I want to be a loving person. I want to be kind. I want people to be able to be themselves. If they're sensitive, be sensitive. Whatever ability they have, I pray that we all can just be grounded in that.
Yeah, why not?
Because there's a reason why you are who you are. I really believe that
heavily right now as we're speaking.
Yeah, and we may be like people with disability. They're just differently able because you have no idea that person perfect. Y'all not God. I'm not God.
And I believe whatever you lacking, you strong in something else. There's something right, you know. Call it a success.
Yeah, but that sensitivity is lit.
Yeah.
I love it
Honestly,
so much.
I went into a whole about HSP too, and I was like, I resonate. What the hell? And honestly, to this day, I actually, if I go a long period without crying, I'm like, oh wait, I didn't cry yet. Like to me, it's baptism. It's like
it's a reset.
A release.
I say that all the time.
Enjoy it. I need it. Like now, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry, and I'm gonna get up.
Yeah.
And do what I gotta do.
Yeah, and that's how I feel. I feel like, I tell people that's a reset for me. Crying is like a way to release within my vessel and start again.
Yes.
Then I can start again. I like to cry. But even lately, I've been crying more. Like, now I can just see something and it's beautiful and I cry. I'm like, damn, girl.
Watching a movie, watching a
Yeah.
video I come across on social media, crying. Like,
I've been just so happy for everybody. I feel like I'm so happy that more people are just like, fuck it, right? More people just come into a place of just fuck it, like
because then you give somebody else a safe space to say fuck it too, and it's just like, yeah, we all say fuck it, we all ball.
That's what my human design chart talks about is that I'm here to like be in purpose, right? Like I'm supposed to lead by being, and I totally agree with that because I feel like that's the best way is like because I feel like younger me, like she's a little aggressive. This guy told me one time, he was like, yo, what you be saying don't be wrong, right? Like he had to. You know, it don't be wrong, baby girl, but you have no tact. He was like, you lack tact. Mind y'all.
What you say you lack what?
You lack tact. You're not tactful.
Oh, okay.
So, y'all, I didn't know what he was saying. I had to Google. I literally had to Google. I was in the military at the time, and you know, energy is my first language.
Shout out to the men that were pointing things out without condescending with it. I was
telling you, a lot of who I am today is because of the men in my life. The men I came across that like called me out, like. When I used to treat men like they were just like something to play with, right? Like they didn't have emotions. And somebody finally called me out like, yo, I got big fucking emotions. Stop playing with me. And I was like, whoa. It was a Leo too. And it changed my life forever. And he was also the person that told me like, all you do, you always see things only from your point of view. And you don't see it from other people's point of view. Changed my life. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of what I am today is because my homeboys were like, see, this ain't, what are you doing, babe? Like, that's why I know I had a lot of soulmates in this life. Like, I had a lot of soulmates already because, like, they are the reason why I was just like, woo, woo. And once they told me, I was like, yeah, maybe I was a little embarrassed at first, like, damn, I did fuck up. But they never went further than that. Once they called it out, they kept it moving. It was just like, it's something I would be like, you remember you said this to me? And they'd be like, no. I'd be like, oh, that was spirit. Oh, that clearly the message wasn't for you. It was only for me.
Yeah, that's how you know. That's how you know it was really spirit when they don't even remember what they said.
Yeah, I didn't say that to you. And I was like, oh, that was spirit. Cool. But yeah, it's a beautiful world we live in, man. I'm so grateful that I started to embrace my sensitivity. I'm so grateful that I embrace my body. I'm so grateful that, like, I really just don't give a fuck. And in this season of my life, like, even my gifts, like, I am so confident in my gifts. Nobody can tell me nothing. Like, you can't tell me what my purpose is. You can't tell me I didn't hear from God. Like, you can't tell me nothing. Like, nothing. Like, first of all, Spirit been riding with me ever since I was a little girl. I used to see, I found out about my girlfriend cheating because I got a vision. I literally got a vision. I think like a month or two later, it happened. The vision was that the door was going to be locked. The top lock. Everybody didn't have a key to the top lock, but the top lock could only be locked from inside. And the vision was that I wasn't going to be able to get in the apartment, and that's when I was going to find out. And it happened. I didn't tell her. Cause this thing, when I get messages, I don't tell people.
You don't tell them, yeah.
I don't even repeat it. I just like keep it moving because like, why? I already know. Like, all right, thank y'all for the heads up. Yep, and it happened. So, you know, it gave me a little minute to be like, all right, Spirit, y'all already said this is going to happen. Cool.
Okay, just waiting for it to happen.
Then change that I turned up. Not on a person, because I wouldn't do that. But the partner, oh yeah, we gonna have it out.
Yeah.
Because I want both of y'all. Stop playing with me. Don't play with me. Right. You need to learn how to cheat better. So, don't play with me.
Cheat with etiquette.
Cheat with etiquette. Oh my God, yes. I mean, now I read about that life, but we were like 20. We were probably like 19, 20 back then.
Man.
Do your thing, boo. But,
what things we're gonna do? They gonna tell me a message in a dream. Okay, they gonna tell me some way, somehow. Oh, you rested? Oh, let me tell you the tea. Like, oh, okay.
I know, because they just put you on alert, and I'm telling you, I've had some amazing relationships, and it's not because it was because of like what I learned about myself in them. Like my relationships have mirrored for me so many things about myself that now I have to cackle. I cackle so much because I'm like, yo, I remember my homeboy was a Gemini sun, and Spirit told me like, yo, you're about to get hurt. Like you are about to get hurt, and I was like, what?
If you don't even know it, you could feel that shit.
Yeah.
You feel it. You got to feel it.
And I was talking to him about it. I actually mentioned it to him. He was like, oh, they dry snitching? I was like, I don't know. You tell me. Is they dry? Like, cause we weren't like we were just talking. Like we hadn't even said like how we felt about each other, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I ended up going to Texas to hang out, and the truth came out. I was like, oh, that's what we doing. Cool. But you know what? That's when I also learned that heartbreak is not about the reason why your heart breaks is so more love can enter. So a part of an aspect of your ego is being dissolved, and more love is entering. You're coming home to yourself, and that's why it hurts so bad because how you identified is leaving. Like it's literally being something that you were so close to being ripped from you. Yeah. And that's why it feels like a heartbreak, but it's not a heartbreak at all. In fact, it's just more like being broken over. Yeah. So I listen. When I tell you the way Spirit comes through for me, that's why I can live in so much joy. Because I know that nothing is hurting me. Nothing is hurting me. Everything is for my good.
Right.
Oh wow, shit. And I still feel all the feels. I still get angry. I still be heartbroken. All these feelings. I still get.
And you allow the feelings to go. Like I like to look at the feelings and even thoughts. I like to look at it like the clouds. The clouds are always passing by, and I'm allowing like even like the season to change, the weather to change. They are going to change. Like it's gonna go. Like yesterday, horrible day. It's like okay, over it. But I realized it was really a horrible day because I was resisting. I was really resisting. My body just did not want to do what it normally was doing, and I was resisting because I was still stuck in the mindset. I was still stuck in the 9 to 5 world. Like, oh, you gotta get this done. You gotta get this done this time. Blah, blah, blah. My body's like, no. Like we just want to be free. I didn't surrender until it was time to go to bed. And I said, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and be fine anyway. It always happened like this. Woke up. As soon as I woke up, I felt amazing. Amazing.
That's real though. That whole resistance thing though.
Yeah. I was watching myself resist. I was observing myself resist. So I knew. I saw myself. I was like, yeah, girl, come on. Like, let's come on. You already know what to do.
All right. That's delicious though. That experience.
I love that. I love it.
Ooh, that's a gift. Ooh.
Listen. Come through, spirit.
Listen. I love it.
Yeah.
But something I was reading. So my 30-day sobriety journey. I was trying to take a break.
What day are you on right now?
I'm on 26. This today 26.
Talking
So
about.
we almost done. We almost done with this. It's fun. It's been so fun.
Man,
Just not, yeah. So I ended up, I was reading about it, and one of the things she was talking about how like sensations, like emotions, only stay 90 seconds. So usually after 90 seconds, we're choosing it, and it's something I believe too.
I'm taking that.
So I'm not a person that holds on to feelings. Like my feelings, they are so fucking quick. People be thinking I just don't take things serious, but I do. I'm telling you, the way I'm built is just different. I didn't ask for this. This is what it is. And if I try to hold on to emotions, it's me being fake, right? I'm just trying to manipulate somebody, and that's why I'm staying mad. But y'all, if I stay mad more than y'all, I'm trying to be manipulative. Please call me out and be like, Charlie, are you really mad?
Are you really, Charlie?
Yeah, because they don't. My emotions literally don't say, like, I don't stay mad at people. I don't know why. It just says.
I love that. That's juicy.
She talked about like it usually stays for 90 seconds, and this is from a psychiatrist, so you can like look this up, and it's part of science or whatever. Apparently, it only say 90 seconds, and anything other than that, like y'all dragging it as a kid.
Now you're choosing it.
Now you're dragging. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, you can do what you want. Like you have every right to do what you want, but it's just a reality that I guess I say that to say, like, you have a choice, right? You can choose at some moment to just let it go. And I'm not saying that you got to stand in these people's face or whoever's doing the thing that might be bothering you. I ain't about that life. But I am about the life of, like, choosing peace for myself. Like, all right, that's it. Yeah. So, but yeah, surrender. Let the emotions come. Let them flow. But when you should resist it or trying to create something else that's not there, you gonna get that block. I say it's
gonna happen. Block is gonna happen.
Yep, you're literally pushing against it when if you just let it go, you could just pass through. You're like, beautiful.
So sweet and easy that way when you allow it to happen.
Yeah. Oh my god, this is so good.
This is amazing. Like I feel like I learned some things. I got some stuff on my chest. I feel like this was amazing.
Yes.
I hope you guys learned something from this.
I hope that you all enjoyed this. This is our Who Used to Be segment. Our first guest is Shandy Love. Hey. We got an Aries Sun coming through.
All right.
Okay.
Project the 3-5 split.
All right. So first of all, thank you. But beyond that, let the people know where to find you.
Okay, y'all. My name is Shandy Love. You want to find me on Instagram, Shandy Love. You want to find my spiritual wellness page, The Perfect Alignment. Well, it's really called The Perfect Aligne. ALINGE.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, let's pause. Please tell people how to spell it.
All right, the perfect. You know spell that, right? The Perfect, ALIGNE, Aligne. That is it. That's my Instagram account. And then you can find me on Twitter. I am Shandy Love. If you need your birth charts read, if you need your life read, I am a astrologist as well. I will not lie to you. I will tell you all the things you need to know about your path, your purpose, your destiny, all that stuff. Like, so yeah.
And I am Shandy. No. Shandy Love Speak. What's on YouTube?
So, I have two YouTubes. So one is Shandy Love Speaks. Shandy Love Speaks. That is where I've got all my weekly messages on there. And then I am Shandy Love, my YouTube channel. I am Shandy Love. That's where I vlog and I put all my crazy life episodes on there. So if you want to just tune in with me, come subscribe and support your girl, because we out here changing, transitioning, and sharing that all. Okay.
And the visuals are visually, okay? The aesthetics are it.
I love me a good content, okay?
Yes. And she, as we talked about earlier, she hosts these classes and is part of the Mirror Magic movement. Oh, there's a page called, is it the?
No, it's just Mirror Magic movement. I guess that's what it is.
Mirror Magic movement page. So if you're into doing some mirror magic and you're into just trying it out, right? Like she posts videos of her doing it, her practice in the morning or whenever it takes place, right? With some affirmations. So she posts different stuff so it can inspire you to like start your own practice. Let you see how to start your practice. Maybe you can go there and ask questions. I'm volunteering her at this point.
I don't mind.
Maybe you can go ask questions. Because even Shandy, I just brought a big mirror. Your girl is ready. Okay.
I cannot wait to see her dancing in front of that mirror. It's going to give me so much joy.
Listen, y'all, even I am like excited about leveling up in my confidence and my self-love and my empowering myself to like really embrace all of me, right? This doesn't stop, right? Anything in life can happen to
it's a
shake me up. So
continuous work.
Yeah, you gotta keep.
And it's fun. It's so fun and you definitely see yourself change as you go. Like I when I started Mirror Magic to now, I've seen a big change in just my personality, my confidence, my self-expression, and just me owning who I am. So I just wanted to share that with the world. Like, consider it.
I hope that you all would tap in with that because I am excited for it. I know that I've learned so much about it, and I'm telling, like I told you, being able to look at myself in the mirror changed everything for me because I didn't know how big of a difference that would make.
Yeah.
And how I showed up in the world, my ability to look people in their face, like, what's up? Okay. And not shy away, just the confidence that I would have, and just not even just the confidence in just my everyday life, but just in like who I say I am. You know?
And owning that.
Yeah, and being unapologetic in that, and not allowing other people to like discourage me from saying loud and proud, like, I'm an intuitive mindset coach. I'm an energy channeler. It is what it is. Like, not these, right? Because I can also be like, I'm an attorney. I'm a social worker. Like, but those things are cute, but I am proud of being an energy channeler. I love the fact that I'm an intuitive mindset coach. Like, that lights me up every single time. It lights me up so much.
That fulfillment, that satisfaction you get from just saying that shit.
I literally just want to be a service of spirit. Like, that is my only goal in this life. I believe that I'm here to serve spirit.
Shout out to be employed from spirit, employed by spirit, employed by universe.
Listen, and that's why your girls stay taken care of.
Always taking care of
That's why the abundance keep abandoncing. Okay, because I work for spirit. I work for the Lord. Okay.
For the Lord.
I work for the Lord. Okay. That's why I can't be canceled. That's why I don't believe in cancel culture. Because I'm like, y'all can't cancel nothing that God called.
Well, y'all didn't create me for y'all to cancel me.
Only in y'all world I can be canceled, but the way the Lord works, okay, there's no cancel culture here.
Cancel culture is dead.
Right, in our world. But no, yes. Oh, Shandy, I love you so much. I give so much gratitude for you.
Thank you for having me, sis.
The
Seriously,
journey we're on, and you always just showing up and showing out. You are a reflection. So my North Node is in Aries, so I love the fact that I have several Aries women around me. And when I tell you that they are embodying the energy, they got me like, oh, I'm showing the fuck up to it.
Oh yes, let's show up together.
I say that I want to be inspired by the energy around me, and I just been loving just like how all of us are maturing, right? How all of us are awakening. My whole circle is just lit. Everybody is just like
doing their part,
in their purpose, doing their thing, experimenting, right? Starting where they are, starting with what they have. Like, I haven't heard an excuse in a while. Everybody's like, well, I'm just gonna do what I can.
Even when the challenges come up, we just like, okay, how do I get creative? And then to do it, still doing it, showing up and doing it anyways, doing it regardless.
And it's beautiful. Yeah, so I hope that you all enjoyed this episode. I hope that you all you just stay around in the community because the love will continue to be here. I'm just really, really grateful. This is just such the start of the podcast, and I pray that you all continue to watch, leave comments. I feel like the only place I can really leave comments is YouTube. You can rate it and leave your feedback on the different audio platforms. Please feel free to do that. Like I said, when you leave comments, when you rate the podcast and all the things, you allow more people to see it. You boost it up. So please continue to do that. I want to encourage that. We in this together. I want all of us just to live our best lives. I pray that you all continue to live and embrace your truth, be unapologetic.
Own your sensitivity, own your own authenticity, own your own power. Just own yourself, own you.
And it's one choice at a time. You don't have to get it perfect every time. Let it be one choice at a time. Don't even put that much pressure on yourself.
Those baby steps, they add up.
They do.
So please.
And the more you do your habits anyway, they become intuitive after a while. You know how habits are formed. You can shift some habits, baby.
That consistency.
Yes. So we want to thank you for rocking with us. We here. I love you all so much. I love you the motherfucking most. Okay? And we're going to see y'all next week. Be sure to leave comments and know that on Instagram, I will leave a question relating to the topics we talk about.
Okay.
Both the body acceptance topic as well as the sensitivity topic. That way we can keep the conversation going.
Okay. Let's keep this conversation going for real.
Yeah.
This was such a beautiful topic. I love it.
I love you all. Bless.
Stay safe wherever you are.